It is finally summer break here in the southern hemisphere, so that means it's time to go out and enjoy the sun, have a barbecue, socialize, and all that weird stuff extroverts love. Not me though. It's finally time to enjoy my extra time playing a ton of decades-old video games with a nice cup of coffee first thing in the morning. Yes, baby! Let's go down memory lane and see if these golden oldies still hold up in this amazing new series that hopefully will last more than a single installment. And to begin, a double nostalgia bomb. Almost 15 years since their initial release and 25 years since the release of the games they are remakes of, let's revisit Pokémon HeartGold, Soul Silver.
Bring all your skill.
The Pokémania in the late 90s was something else. You had to be there to really grasp how big Pokémon was. It was everywhere. As Jeff Bezos perfectly put,
if you guys don't know what Pokémon is, you're in need of some serious remedial toy education.
Pokémon was inescapable, and if you weren't the target audience for it, man, you were done for. Nintendo and Game Freak had me and every other kid in a chokehold. I still remember all first 251 Pokémon to this very day, which is insane considering that my brain could be using this space for relevant, important information. Like, why do I still know a Poliwag from a Poliwrath and can't remember my landline number even if my life depended on it? Again, that goes to show how much of my free time was dedicated to Pokemon back then. And while Red, Blue, and Yellow were awesome, Gold and Silver were on another level. By 2001, I had played both Gen 1 and 2 games multiple times, and getting to beat my past self in the ending of Gold and Silver was one of my first major gaming accomplishments. Fast forward 10 years and Nintendo rewarded us with remakes of Gold and Silver. By that point in time I was already in my early 20s, so my interest in the series was beginning to wane. Still, I could not resist revisiting those Gen 2 classics, and that served as a nice send-off for my relationship with the series. After all, we parted ways shortly after as I never got a 3DS and don't own a Switch right now, so I really have no idea what to make of Pokemon anymore. So, when I recently revisited HeartGold, it was a double nostalgia bomb. It brought out in me nostalgia for my school days in the 90s with the original Gen 2 games, and also for my college years in the early 2010s with the Gen 4 remakes. So, just know that I love these games, and any criticism that I make doesn't come from a place of malice. I'm just being honest. No game is perfect, folks. Please don't kill me, Pokefans. Describing a Pokemon game feels a little silly. Who doesn't know what Pokemon is about? You are an 11-year-old from a small town who wants to be the very best, like no one ever was. You then go on a journey to, well, catch them all. Well, at least in the beginning, they mercifully have dropped the slogan now that there are over 1,000 of them. The rest is business as usual, fighting gym leaders and the Pokemon League to get cred, being harassed by random trainers who jump you from behind bushes, taking down crime syndicates and aiding 3 named professors in their research. I mean, aiding is an euphemism if I ever saw one. We are doing all the heavy lifting here. Hope you get to put all this work in your academic CV, buddy. It's a straightforward, simple, and cozy story for children. And I don't say that in a derogatory way. It's just that the Pokemon world, as presented in these games, is one where the rules are clear and everyone will follow them. What's fair is fair. Everyone will respect the significance of your badges. Everyone will respect turns in battle and treat you seriously even though you're just a kid. Even Team Rocket, despite being evil and stealing Pokemon and all that, will not steal your Pokemon or put you in real danger. And when you beat them in battle, they admit defeat and leave. Your mom also absolutely believes in you and thinks you have what it takes to conquer the world despite being like 10. It's a power fantasy for children, and I sort of love it for that. What sets Gen 2 apart from other Pokemon generations is the fact that this one is a direct sequel to the original, with a bunch of recurring characters and callbacks to the previous titles, especially in the post-game, an aspect that will be dearly missed as the series moves forward. There's just so much extra stuff in these titles, it's like 2 games in one. If HeartGold Soul Silver were released today, all of this content would have been locked behind a paywall, a couple of DLC, one for Kanto and another for the Battle Frontier and the Pokeathlon, a season pass with Gen 3 and 4 Pokemon, a special event for the battle against Red. And the funny thing is, we would have all loved it, and would have been happy with the dev support. It might have even won that Labor of Love award instead of Red Dead 2. Who am I kidding, that one is unbeatable. Johto is a pretty cool region and might be my favorite from the games I've played. Sure, Kanto is more iconic, no questions there, but there's something about Johto that really connects with me. It's very old-fashioned, there's this country feel to it when compared to Kanto, which contributes to the mystery and gravitas of the legendary Pokemon in the game. The way Lugia, Ho-Oh, and the 3 dogs are presented make them feel actually mythical and imposing. And the reworked graphics and soundtrack are top-notch, and they really make returning to the OG Gen 2 games kind of unnecessary. I honestly haven't done that since the early 2000s, and I don't feel the need. It's that good. Man, the DS era was peak Pokemon for me. This might sound controversial, but I honestly don't think the graphics needed to get much better than this. Pokémon works really well with this chibi pixel art 2.5D aesthetics, and I feel like the DS games look better than the Switch ones from what I've seen. 15 years on, the graphics hold up. Or I'm simply biased and just love the Nintendo DS. It's one of my favorite systems with one of the greatest catalogs ever. Fight me. The DS graphics and the new sprites make the Pokemon really visually appealing and easy to distinguish. And Gen 2 Pokemon still have that simple, classic look that I personally associate with Pokemon. Some stuff we'll see in the later gens have this almost Digimon vibe to them. They are too stylized. Or they're just dumb as hell. Sure, we've had some bangers in later gens, but to an old fart like me, Gen 1 and 2 are top of the class. Speaking of later gens, getting legendaries and starters from other regions in the post-game is really rewarding. There are so many Pokemon available in this one, and the fact that every single one of them will follow you makes you feel pretty powerful. Yes, peasants, that's Raikou following me around. Go about your day. Speaking of Raikou, he was a mainstay in my team after the work I had to catch it. Seriously, fuck roaming Pokemon, oh my god. So, my final team. Raikou with Thunder and Discharge as my main electric attacks, and both Crunch and Extra Sensory for that dark and psychic offensive coverage. Typhlosion with some kick-ass fire attacks and also Cut because, sure, why not? Dragonite with dragon attacks and also Fly to cover any flying damage I might need. Lapras as an A-Gem slave covering ice and water attacks. Tyranitar for ground and rock coverage. And a Machoke because I forgot to remove her. You're sort of the odd one out, huh, buddy? Anyway, I was pretty happy with my team, and with it, I could cover almost all types attack-wise. What's your ideal team for HeartGold Soul Silver? Tell me in the comments. And I'm open to criticism as well, trash me below. Being a Gen 4 game, HeartGold shares a battle system with Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum, so that physical and special split for attacks is here. What does that effectively mean to someone like me who plays Pokemon as fancy rock, paper, scissors? Well, not much. I have no idea what that means in practical terms, but I've seen people saying it's a game changer of sorts. Good for them. The battle system feels too slow for today's standards, not gonna lie. Luckily, that wasn't really a problem for me this time around. What still is a problem is the grinding required to advance. The gap between wild Pokemon in your team and the gym leaders is wild. You barely get an experience from them after a while, and facing the Elite Four will require a whole lot of grinding if you want to have any shot at winning. Especially if you're trying to level all your team equally instead of focusing on one or two mons. When I faced them for the first time, my team was in the high 30s and Lance had a level 50 Dragonite, so yeah, not great. That mountain where Red is waiting for you in the post-game? Yeah, you'll spend a while there grinding Tangalas and Rapidashes. Yes, I'm aware that you have the ability to have rematches with trainers you have already beat, but that's a whole lot of extra work that wouldn't have been necessary if the game had better level progression. And what's frustrating about this is that the way the battle system is built makes it so that your skill as a player does not matter as much as your Pokemon's level and type when fighting. Yes, I know there are Pokemon connoisseurs out there who know this battle system from top to bottom and actually know the difference between a special and physical attack in practical terms, and I'm aware there's a booming competitive scene centered around the series, but in-game, especially for a casual like myself, Pokemon is all about levels and effectiveness. There isn't much skill required to beat the game. If you have a vague understanding of Pokemon types, their effectiveness and weaknesses, then you just have to be patient and grind. You just have to make sure you're using the right Pokemon at the right level and you can breeze through any encounter. But then again, this is a game made with children in mind. I'm the odd one out. The little buggers can watch Frozen 500 times in a year. They clearly won't mind the padding and the repetition. So yeah, by the end, I was a little bit worn out, but then again, that's my own damn fault for checking out the post-game, and the post-post-game, and the post-post-post-game, and being like level 85 by the time I finally dropped the game. HeartGold Soul Silver takes the ambition of the originals and expands on it. There's just so much here to love, and honestly, I had a blast playing it with my morning coffee instead of reading the news. Remember reading the news? Anyway, replaying HeartGold was a slow process, but an incredibly rewarding one. I don't know if you would enjoy yourself if you were to play it for the first time instead of revisiting it, because the slow leveling and the grinding are sort of a chore, but if you have played it before, or even another Pokemon title in your life and had a good time, I cannot recommend these games enough. Pokémon HeartGold does hold up in 2024. That's it for today, everyone. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't, and tell me if you'd like to see more Pokemon games reviewed on the channel. Also, tell me if there are any other golden oldies that you'd like me to check in this series. And there you go. I'll see you around YouTube.
I will be the very best, but no one